Hello, my squishies. So I've been told that uh, that nobody can hear me for the first couple of seconds, so nobody gets my welcome. So I'm gonna wait a few seconds and then say hello again, and then we'll start. Hello, my squishies. It is Friday night. It's 6 o'clock. It's time to felt along. Hello, Robin. For those of you who have not joined before, we do these live. People are chatting in the comments, and then I leave them up for you guys to watch afterwards. So I will be chatting nonsense, especially because the chief nonsense maker is here already. If you could let me know how the sound is doing, that would be great, because I've got a whole new setup this week. And yes, I have tested it, but I just want to double check that I'm still good. Yes. So while people are filtering in, I'm going to give you guys who haven't felted before a quick introduction to needle felting, what's in the kit, and what we're going to do tonight. So in your kit, you'll have a foam mat. This is what you felt onto. No, this is, well, it's Friday night. The nonsense is real. Sounds fine. Wonderful. Thank you, Mom. This is what we're going to put down on the surfaces to protect your surfaces, and it makes it easier to needle felt with. You've also got your pre-felt, is what this is. So this is fabric. It's made out of wool. It's called pre-felt, but you can felt onto various different fabrics. This one's just what I prefer to felt onto. It is Shetland, and you should have a circle and your design very roughly drawn onto it. But don't worry, I'm going to take you through from start to finish how to do it tonight. We've also got our needles. So these will be in your pack. They might be stabbed into your thing or in a little packet. But if you grab them, you'll see, let's see if I can focus. They're so tiny we can't even focus. They've got a sharp barbed end, which is the end we'll be felting with, and then a hook on the other end. So I always recommend you count your needles in and out so you don't get any needles lost. They can break. If they do break, find all the ends and dispose of them safely. I've got a hard plastic tub that I put them in, like a sharps container, and when that's full I'm going to put it in the bin. And there's one more important thing that I was going to tell you about them that I've forgotten. Oh no, you've got your needle holder. So I don't use these, but people absolutely love them. So I include them in all the kits for you guys, because I alternate between various amounts of needles. This is a single needle holder. You do get these that hold 3, 6 more needles, but this just makes it a lot easier to grab onto the needle. It's more like using a pen. So to work this, there's a little peg in there. Pull out the peg, grab your needle, put it in the groove with the hook over the thinner end, so the thick end and a thin end, and then pop that thin end back into the holder, and that's it in the holder, ready for you to stab. So I'll do that one more time. There's a wee peg in there, so you pull out that peg, put the needle in the groove with the hook over the thin end, and put the thin end back into the holder, and then you're ready to go. But like I say, I tend to fire between holding multiple needles at a time, so I'm not yet using these. Oh, stay. And then what else have we got? The last, and oh no, two more important things. But the most important thing is the fibre. So this is what we're going to felt with. It's mostly Shetland. It's been washed, dyed, and from the Shetland sheep from the Shetland Island. It's been washed, dyed, and brushed. And it is known as either tops or roving. Technically this is roving, but a lot of people will refer to it as tops. And the way we work with this is a couple of bit that way. So you've got your little bundle of roving, and what I'm going to do is have my hands slightly far apart. I'm going to pull gently on one side, and you'll see it comes apart like that. So this length here is known as the staple length of the fiber. The staple length of the fiber, and that just means that's the length that the hair was, or the wool was, on the sheep when it was shorn. So if I had my hands too close together, I'm fighting against the same bit of wool. So if I have my hands too close together, you see it's not going to pull apart. If I have my hands nice and far apart, so longer than that distance apart, I can just pull little bits like that. And you will hear me tonight saying multiple times how little you need to make such a big difference in your picture. The other thing to watch out for is if there's any twist in the roving, it will not come apart either. Well, it will, but you have to put a lot of effort in, because twist is what holds yarn together. So essentially, by twisting it like this, this is a bit of yarn now, really. So I want to make sure it's untwisted. All the wool, the staple, all the fibres, it's Friday night, all the fibres are running parallel, and your hands are nice and far apart, and then you can pull just little bits like that. And I'm going to do a rundown of the colours, and I will be saying the colours, I promise, as I'm using them. So we have corn, we have vixen, we have something, probably poppy, maybe not poppy, sherry, probably sherry. We have aubergine, Shetland black, and this is slivers, so this is slightly different. So you can see, I don't know if you can see, this one is not as smooth. There's more little lumpy bumpy bits in it, so it's been less processed. Oh, hey Ruth, nice to see you. And so this gives a different effect as well. Okay, the last and second most important thing about this stream is, so I leave these up for you guys to felt along with the pictures. Oh my, this is a prime example. So I do these live, leave them up so you can felt along afterwards. But you don't have to listen to me if you don't want to. You can fast forward me, you can rewind me, all the controls are down there, or across there depending on what you're viewing it on. So you can fast forward, you can rewind, you can pause me, and hi mum and dad, as they remind me multiple times, you can mute me as well, so you do not have to listen to my rambling. I just enjoy the rambling, because, you know, it's a thing. So, shall we get felting? Nah, that's no fun. No, tonight we're going to do, hopefully, last important thing, the hoop that we're going to frame up our picture with will be in your kit as well. But I'll show you how to use that when we're ready to frame it up. We are hopefully in the next hour, because these streams are generally an hour long, get felting this Castle at Sunset. It's roughly based on Castle Stalker, which is a castle just between here and Oban. It is beautiful, but it can be any castle you want. So we're going to start by laying a background down, and then we're going to build up in front of it. So I've got, let's put this up here for a little bit of reference, but I am going to go off-piste occasionally as well. Because don't tell anybody, but I've literally finished designing this 5 minutes ago before I had to go live, because it's been incredibly busy in the shop today. So I'm going to take some corn. This is the lovely yellow, and I'm going to do a base of the corn quite finely, because we're going to build up lots of fine layers just below. So don't worry if you're going over your shape. And ever so slightly above. Oh, and just now what I'm doing is I'm laying it down. I'm not even stabbing it yet. We're not even felting it. We're going to place the colours where we want them to go for the sunset. And then we're going to fix them in. Because if you want to move stuff around at this point, we can literally just move it. It's really, really handy. So I'm taking some of the Vixen. This is, Robin, this is not, well, it could be, if you wanted it to, it could definitely be Urquhart Castle. That's the one on Loch Ness. But I was looking at pictures of Castle Stalker, which is the one closer to Fort William. So I'm just laying down. Yeah, this could definitely be Urquhart Castle if you wanted it to. So we're going to have to remember that your sun is coming from there. So anything that's up there is going to get mirrored in the water because the castle's in the middle of the water. So now I'm going to take some of this. I want to say sherry. I could be wrong. I really need to learn some of the names of my colours. And that's going to go up top. So it's kind of going from yellow, orange to red. And don't worry just now. Well, two things. Go outside your lines. Because when you put this in the frame, you don't want any white bits coming in. So always go outside the lines. And just do nice, thin, fine lines just now. And I will ask while I'm laying down this colour, what's everybody eating? It's dinner time on a Friday night, and how have you all been since I spoke to you 2 weeks ago? And then I'm going to take the Aubergine purple. All these colours are available on my website singularly, as well as in the kits. So if you just want, if you've got all the supplies yourself, you can just buy the colours. That is a long staple length. Oh my. That was a good sheep. The kits are also available on my website. And I'm going to I hate this bit. I'm going to do it without being prompted. Be proud of me. I always appreciate it if you like these videos, subscribe, even after the fact, pop in a comment. I love reading all of your comments. There, I did the YouTubey things. Are you proud of me? Oh, also we've got a Facebook group where we chat and show off our finished pictures and do all that jazz. Okay, so I've got essentially yellow in the middle, orange fading to red, fading to purple. I know, so proud of me. And I'm going to just very gently essentially tack these colours down. So I'm going to take a couple of needles, in fact I'm going to take 3 needles, hold them so they're all parallel in my hand, and just real gently stab, stab, stab all over. So I'm making sure I'm going through the fabric, because what we're doing here is these little barbs are poking individual fibres through the fabric. Oh my god, words. Are poking individual fibres through the fabric, which is what's locking them in. So just now we're just really roughly doing it. We're not worrying too much, just to hold them down. And if I pull it up off the mat, you can see little ones have poked through there. And I'm going to start laying down a bit more. The nice thing about sunsets, I keep seeing the comments in the corner of my eye, is like that you kind of want it to blend really nicely from one colour to the other. So that's going to go, so I'm not putting this down yet, but that's going to go there. So I want to make sure I've got a good amount of yellow above. And I will do my customary shout out, because Robin, who's chatting in the comments, also has a YouTube channel, who also does felting, and her tutorials are wonderful. If you could pop your channel in the comments, that would be spectacular. And I've actually had some people emailing me asking for your channel, which I'm like, yes, and it gets me very excited. And I've shared it with them. Okay, so I'm still layering up. Just so it's a nice fade from the yellow to the orange to the red. Although I've run out of orange. Hold on 1 second. And I should be saying from the corn to the vixen to the sherry to the aubergine. How were the aubergine fibres? Nope, that's not the words I was looking for. How were the bamboo fibres? So I've only ever felted. Yep, I've only ever felted with sheet fibre. I'm trying to think, have I ever felted with like my dog's fibre? But no. There we go. So the reason we're layering up is that when we start stabbing these in, the colours below will start to pop through and give really nice depth of colour. And every so often, it's a really good idea to just see. So this purple at the top isn't really making it in. So if I want to pull, but do I want to pull the purple down? So that's going to go there. No, we're going to let the purple just be where it is. Oh, another important thing as we're going along, remember every so often to pull your work off your mat, otherwise it starts to get kind of stuck down. And give it a wee, especially at this stage, you'll see it's got lots of flex in it, lots of movement, because it's not thoroughly felted yet. So this one that I have given a good felting over has got a lot less flex and a lot less movement. And that brings me neatly to my point, or to my next point of call, of how do I know when it's done? And there's no easy answer for that. It's done when you're happy with it. So then for this hour, we always try and keep these to an hour long. I'm going to get all the colours in place. Everything's going to be where I want it to be. But I'm not going to call it finished. I'm going to come back in a day or two. And I'm going to just give it a good stab all over for 10-15 minutes. Just making sure everything is really nicely felted in. And then I'm going to probably say it's finished. Because even just doing an hour tonight, your brain gets... how do I phrase this? I think of it as like my eyes get tired and can't see what I've done. And then when you come back the next day, you see actually how good it was what you did the night before. So I always come away, this is a terrible confession, I normally come away from these felt-alongs thinking, oh, that was such a terrible one I did tonight. It didn't look anything like what I wanted it to. I come back the next day and go, actually, no, that's really good. And then I'm really happy. So I've learned to ignore my inner thoughts and say, it's fine, it looks good. Yeah, so come back the next day or a couple of days later and just finish it off. But how do you know when the fabric is secured enough? Depends on what... I'm going to start putting some black in now, I think. Depends on what you're going to do with the piece. So I can still vaguely see that line there. So I'm just going to put in one line there where my hills are going to be. And then I'm going to lay out where the castle's going to go. I stopped halfway through a sentence again, didn't I? I'm very good at that. So, yes, how do I know when it is the fabric is sufficiently felted? So depending on what it's going to be. So if it's you can mount this in various ways. You don't have to mount it in the frame that I provide. If you want, you can fill the whole square with the picture and mount it like a normal picture behind glass in a frame. That's totally fine. And then you don't have to have it very well felted in because it's behind glass, no one's going to be able to touch it. You might want that really nice smooth look of like the not well felted. That's bad English. Not well felted. But if like these ones that I make, it's going to be in a high touch area. People are going to be touching them all day. I need them to be securely felted in. So I'm going to go over these. In fact, the ones that go on display in the shop, I've got a commercial needle felting machine, and I go over them on a 12 needle machine for a good bit before they go out into the shop, just because people are going to be touching them. I always encourage people when they come into the shop to squish all of the things. That includes my needle felt, so it gets a lot of handling. Okay, so I got distracted. We're going to make the rock. Yeah, bamboo won't have the cuticles. It'll be super smooth, won't it? That is a very good point. And now, on top of said rock, we're going to plop a castle. So the way I'm going to make the castle is a little bit interesting. So I've got this thin line here, and I'm going to twist one end so it twists it slightly, and then fold it in half. And when I let go, that was not twisted enough. Let's twist it a little bit more. There we go. Fold it in half. And you see you kind of get a nice rounded, end. And I'm going to take that up there as my first turret. I'm going to do the same again. Twice more for 2 more turrets. So 1, 2. I know they look. If you want to do standing stones, or these could be like people. Oh, these are like little people standing on a rock. That's kind of cute. They can be anything you want them to be. But mine are intending to become castles. And 3 for my 3 turrets there. Now, is that... So let's do a little measure, shall we? So that is down to my knuckle bone. So it's a little bit short. And then across is like a knuckle and a half. And then I'm going to fill in the little gaps in between. I know this sounds really fun. Fill in little gaps in between, but we're going to make sure not to go all the way up to the top. Now this is going to look a bit messy to start off with. We are at the messy stage, that is fine. But it will tidy up, I promise. There we go, filled in that second gap, but just up, so we've definitely got some nice turrety action going on. And I think, there we go, I'm just going to fold over the bottom, fold it back up. And we've got a nice little wonky but beautiful tiny castle. I'm going to do another little lower castle to the side. Not castle, extension. This castle has an extension on the side. Now these are a little bit thicker than like the end of the needle, but still we want them to be quite thin. So this one's going a bit lower and going down to there. I'm going to take that off to the side because that's going to be the side of where the castle is. I'm going to... I spend a lot of time smooshing tiny bits of felt. There we go. And again, this is going to have a chimney essentially. There we go. I'm happy with that as a castle shape. I'm going to work on the rocks around it a little bit. So I'm going to pop down where it hits the water line, and we need to put its reflection in the water as well. We haven't got any reflections yet. There we go. That's getting... I know, to me, feels very messy just now. But we're fine. Nobody's panicking. Looks like there's this weird thing in the sky up there. But as long as when you pop it on, your castle kind of sits nicely there. I'm going to pull this down a little bit. Down to there. So you see, this is the joy of needle felting. Is that because I only very lightly felted it in at this stage, I can just pick it up and move it. So I'm going to move it slightly closer to the castle. That's going to go across there, and I want it to go that one. Yeah, let's do a second one coming in from the left there to give that nice little sense of depth. I'm going to take some of the corn yellow and just, before I put on like my hills, I want to make sure behind the hills is that lovely yellow. But I'll still have pops of the orange popping out because we put that orange base there. If you didn't put that orange base there, that's okay too. So I'm going to take the purple to make the hills. I have used the black to do the base of the hills, but I'm now going to take the purple to make kind of the top wiggle of the hills, if that makes any sense. I'm just laying it down and then letting it wiggle up and then wiggle down, then wiggle up. And these wiggles, the more you felt it in, the more defined they will become. So just now, again, we're at the messy stage where everything's a bit fluffy and doesn't really make sense. Ooh, a multi needle holder, yes. How are you making it? I have questions. I have all the questions. There we go. I'll do the same for this hill in the background. We're gonna just wiggle the hill. So I'm just letting little lumps and bumps and divots and things up here. There we go. So I'm going to do one more little bit of adding in, and then I'm going to felt all over for a good 5-10 minutes before we go back and add in a few more details. Because you'll see it changes dramatically when I do the good 5-minute felt all over that I'm about to do. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of the slivers, the fluffy one that feels a little bit different, roll them up into a ball, and these may disappear because it can happen with smaller ones. I'm going to pop in a couple of windows into the castle. I'm doing one there, one slightly lower on here, and I'm going to do one essentially at ground level down here. So there's like a wee window in a courtyard or something. There we go. Right, I'm going to grab 3 needles, and for the next, put a timer on, 5 minutes. I'm going to work out my arm muscles and stab all over and stab these all in. And what this is going to do, it starts to lock everything in place, and everything sort of tightens up and gets a little bit smaller as you're pushing all these fibres and locking them in. There's sort of essentially a ratcheting action. They get locked together. And if ever I'm not sure about my piece, I will always just stab it mercilessly for a while and see if anything changes. Oh, we've got to put some, and this also reminds you of like what you've forgotten to put in. My little castle's getting wonky. We'll straighten up the castle at the end. Do not worry. What was I saying? I've forgotten already. Yes, that makes me very happy. Even just that 2 minutes of dabbing all over it has changed it from the mess I thought it was into suddenly, actually, no, this could be a thing. We have to put some reflections in the water of the hills, just some wee ones, and a little touch of reflection in the castle, and then we are good. So what exciting stuff has been happening in the shop? You can see your castle gets a little bit smaller as well. Oh, that is an arm workout. I'm starting to feel it in my arm. If there's no pressure to do these to keep up with me. Like I said, you can fast forward, you can rewind, you can slow me down. Just felt along at your own pace. Pick up whenever you like. There you go. And remember, and pull it off every so often. So you can see now, apart from the mess that my mat is, how all these fibres are starting to get pushed through to the back. So let's compare this one that is just lightly felted to this one that I've felted a little bit heavier. You can see more fibres are coming through. This I still would go over for a wee bit, but you can see all the fibres popping through the back there. And now is probably a good time to do our very first practice. That was not 5 minutes of stabbing, that was only 2 minutes. I'm going to keep stabbing for a couple more minutes, but I have noticed a little bit of white popping up through there. So I want to pull a little bit of the Vixen just up to that edge, so that we haven't got that little white spot. That's better. But the nice thing about sunsets is that every sunset is different. So I'm actually hoping that your sunset is not the same as mine. I want it to be slightly different. Your own interpretation of a sunset. If you have a photo of a sunset that you really like, you can do that one as well. You do not have to copy this one. This is my go-to Scottish sunset, because I've seen so many of them and I just love them so much. I think sunsets are my favourite thing. You can see my castle, because I was thinking just a second ago how big the castle was, and now it's already starting to shrink and become a nice little size. Okay, right. Oh, lots of comments. Hold on. And I can feel that the fabric is starting to tighten up slightly as well, which is really good. Ooh, yes. I have access to 3D printers. Tell me all the things. That's really handy. Yes. Although when I first read that last comment, so I'm a little bit dyslexic. Don't know if I've mentioned that before, but I only saw a couple of words in the comment and my brain filled in the gaps, which it is wont to do. If you ever meet me in person, ask me about my favourite mishearing, actually. My favourite mishearing I've ever misheard, but I'm not going to say it on YouTube. I read your comment, Robin, as I like the motion blur. And I'm like, I have got a bit of motion blur going on here, yeah. So yes, my motion blur castle, because we are going past it so fast. Okay, I'm going to put my little shadows in. Do I want to just do... Right, let's play with shadows. Yeah, no, I am going to have to do a really fine So can you see how little I just put on? Focus, focus. No, it's not going to focus. That tiny, tiny amount. Just as a shadow below that. And the same again on the other one. Just the tiniest little bit. You can even do a couple of thin lines rather than having a whole solid shadow, because this is over water. It's going to end up as a couple of sort of lines in the water, which is something else. Oh, I love my mishearings so much. They make me so happy. I think a lot of the time what I mishear is far more interesting than what the person actually said. So if you ever come into the shop and if I ever look at you funny when you say something, it's probably because I've heard something else and my head is going in interesting places. There we go. So I want to have more kind of ripples in the base than in the sky. I want the sky to be smoother. So I'm not going to put in little purple lines. I'm going to try and fade the transition. From the sunset, because normally when you're looking at a sunset, well, this is a clear day, so there's no real clouds in this one, so it's just a nice smooth. I don't know why I'm adding more up there, because it's probably going to get lost. Oh yeah, that's what I was doing. The distractions are real. Let's do a first look in the frame. Now, like I said, you don't have to put this in the frame if you don't want to. You can just fill up the whole thing. There's definitely enough fibre for that. But to frame it up, you take away your mat, because trust me, you don't want to try doing it on a mat. You'll see, oh, I've already opened this one up. When you get it, it'll be kind of closed over. It's getting signal closed over like that. So I'm just going to unscrew it, but not all the way. So there's still a little dot at the end, so it's not going to fall apart. If it does fall apart, that's okay, just screw it back in again. I'm going to take out the center hoop and lay it on the table. So the solid hoop goes on the table. And I'm going to lay my picture down on top. I'm going to feel where the hoop is and have the hoop kind of centered on the picture. And I'm going to take the outside hoop. I might want to open this a tiny bit. And just gently press it over and down onto the solid table. And what I like to do is press it down just a little bit more so it's nice and securely on. That kind of tucks away the edges as well. And then you can have a look at your picture and have a look and see, is there anything you want changed about it? So I can see down here there's a little bit too much purple and there's gaps. I can see white through it. So I'm going to work more down there, because I know it's not quite centered, but I like the castle being just a little bit below center and that being up there. And that purple's entirely disappeared, but that's okay. If it wasn't there, you would know about it. So at the end, when we're completely finished, you're just going to screw the screw on as tight as it can go, and then chop off all this extra at the back. So just take a pair of scissors and chop, 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 and it will look... Do I have one here? No, of course I don't. And it'll look like that when it's finished and it's ready to hang up on your wall. When you're doing your final fitting, make sure that that is level so that when you hang it, let's do an impression of hanging. When you hang it, it hangs like that. But I'm going to take this out because you want to try fitting it a couple of times, because it really does help with seeing what needs to be changed. And it also makes it, I think, when you put it in the frame for the first time, a lot of the time it's like, yeah, I did that. That was a thing. Oh, I was just checking my... I know, this is terrible to me. I was just checking my messages because I have a wonderful shop dog called Peanut, who is normally with me 24/7, but she's been getting a little distracting during the felt-alongs because it's like her peak I want to playtime. So she's away with a friend just now. They're out for a walk, and she loves a friend. They love each other. It's adorable. But still, I feel like I'm like, but where is my small furry child? Why is she not here with me? So I've added a bit more red, and I'm going to pop a little bit of orange on top because there was a little bit too much purple for my liking. Although I am still going to add more purple back in because layering. And we can even, so, ooh, there's a good idea. Let's do a tiny touch of yellow. Just on, I reserve the right for this to be wrong. A tiny touch of yellow, a little touch of orange underneath that, and then a little bit of shadow. That's what was missing. Yes. And then we're going to put in a little touch of shadow. Because castle. There we go. So I've taken a full length dark bit brown across the bottom, and then this little one kind of just goes in line with that. I am in fact going to take this red even further down, just in cases. Yeah, this feels, I feel like I'm getting slightly into sort of sci-fi novel cover, and I am all for it. I grew up with sci-fi fantasy art, and yes. So let's see how that's gonna, yep. Am I squinty? I keep looking at, I think because my monitor is slightly squinty. In real life it's not squinty, but because I keep going sideways. And these little windows are going to get a little bit smaller as I felt them in, which is why I did them a little bit bigger. Because as you're felting them in, they just kind of disappear into it. I need to work on this castle a little bit more. It's a bit fluffy. So Robin, what is your next, apart from the needle holder, which I'm very excited for, what is your next needle felting expedition? There we go, that's a less fluffy castle. Cool, right, I'm going to stab all over for another couple of minutes, and then we're almost finished, I would say. It's really, I don't want to add too much texture. Oh no, now you're asking me to name names? I don't remember, I can barely remember my own name. So I'm going to add a little bit of texture into the hills. So I'm putting, I don't want it to be like a solid black at the bottom and purple on top. I want it to be the lights and shadows and things. Okay, I'm gonna have to Google those names later because I don't know names. I just know pictures. Should I be admitting that? I don't know. To be fair, I do forget my own name half the time, so. Is that too dark? I want a little bit more light in there, I think. And a little bit more orange in there. That's better. But I'm just putting tiny, tiny bits. It's not a lot just now. Oh yeah, I love all the D&D stuff. Yes, so yes is the answer. Which reminds me, I must finish. Yep, no, I'm happy with that yellow there. Oh, so what are you... I don't know if you guys notice this, but every so often I'll pause and I look up at my screen, which is in front of me, and showing me a picture of what I'm felting, because it gives my brain a different angle to look at it for. So sometimes it's really helpful if you're a bit stuck on what's going on or where you are in your felting, to take a photograph of it and have a look at it through the photograph on the camera or on your phone even, because that brings a new perspective and gives you like fresh eyes, because your eyes can get tired, like I said earlier, if you are staring at it for too long. So I always, if I manage to design it more than 5 minutes in advance, no, I spent hours designing these. I normally send the pictures of what I'm designing to my parents and get their opinion, and they always give brilliant feedback. But it's also just the fact that looking at it through a lens is really helpful. I reserve the right to change my mind, but I'm going to put a little bit of the purple at the base of the castle where the like mountain, where the non-castle-y bit would be. I've also noticed I've missed a little bit of castle there. So I'm going to add a little bit in. Yeah, normally I like to design these a little bit more in advance than today. I felt there was definitely a time crunch. And pop the purple on there. If you want to do a... no, I'm not going to say that. I'm just going to be quiet. There we go. That distinguishes like the castle from the castle grounds quite nicely. Do I want to do any more? Debating if I want to put some highlights. This is the fun bit where I'm just like, it's pretty much finished. Doesn't need much else. I'm really happy with it. But if you fiddle for a few minutes, you never know what you might have missed. Nope, nope. And that is the joy of needle felting. Is if I don't like what I've put down, I can just take it away. It's so fun and so easy. And so, well, the only stress in needle felting is stabbing your own finger. But because this is flat felting, we are unlikely to stab ourselves, which is nice. So I've lightened up that bottom a little bit there. This is just playing now. All the colours are where they should be. We're just blending and playing. And I've kind of got a sort of sunny thing going over there. I want to take some red there. There we go. Nice. Right, I think I might be finished. Still got 10 minutes. This has gone too fast. I'm going to stab all over for a couple more minutes. Paul, say something interesting. Oh, wait, I missed one comment. You're going to do a mushroom? What kind of mushroom are you going to do? That is the question. Don't ask me about what I did for my final show in art school. There was a lot of mushrooms there. Thank you. I'm actually really, this is, oh, how do I say this? This is that nice sort of fantasy, but still real, like lovely, making me very happy. And I really like the sunset colours. So there's a little bit of stuff. Am I going to go with orange? Let's go with orange. I'm just going to take a tiny bit and fold it over a couple of times and squish it into there. That's better. That's better. Remember every so often to pull it off the mat. My hills aren't wiggling enough, so I'm going to directionally poke to get some nice wiggles. So I'm not bending the needle, but I'm poking and stabbing in a direction to try and alter slightly. There we go, there's better wiggles. Oh, nice. Yes, realistic mushrooms. Also, are you putting realistic muscles on the mushrooms? Because mushrooms are just fascinating. Okay, like I said, it's pretty much all the colours are where I want them to be. I'm really happy with the way it's looking just now, but I'm going to leave it for tonight. I'm going to frame it up and then come back tomorrow or the day after. So when you pull it off, remember it can stretch and warp out of shape and you might panic and go, oh my god, what happened? You can just straighten it back up. That's no problem at all. So I'm going to pop it in its frame. And then we should be good. So I'm just leveling it up where I want it to be. So I want it there. So this is the stage. What am I trying to say? This is a fun stage. So just now, because I've gone outside the lines, I can move it around and try different layouts. So I could, if I wanted to, put it more centered. Oh no, do I want to put it more centered? I quite like that. With the... Ooh, yeah. That might be about to change. Yeah, it's like stained glass, isn't it? Or I could put it lower with more sky. Oh, I like that too. Oh no, this isn't good. Oh, I'm breaking stuff. I like them all. And even if I do it lower, actually, I could cover up. So I'm giving you options here. I could cover up the bottom and have it lower. No, I think I like it higher. You could also have it off center. Nope, other way, off center, other way. And down. That's no way off center. Right, go up and go along. Like that. So this is, you've got, because we've gone outside the lines, you've got that sort of space to play with, which is really nice. But for this one, I'm going to put it in the center, what I had initially intended to do. Make sure that that top is level. Pop that down, give it an extra scooch round, and then if it was going to be completely finished, tighten this up, and then once it's fully tightened, just chop away all that excess. That'll just chop off nicely, and then you have your finished castle. This castle's a bit skinnier and narrower than that one, but I'm happy with that. I actually kind of like the chunky look. So there we go. Thank you for joining me, my squishies. These are what castle? Castle Stalker. Yes. Let's just do a little final picture. No, that's too messy. final picture. Thank you for joining me. It's been wonderful. Happy felting, and I will see you in 2 weeks' time. Thank you, my squishies.